Hello. Good afternoon. Ay, marinig, okay na po yung boses ko?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Okay. Good afternoon. Magandang dyan, Sandok. We are Group 3 Research. It's our honor to be with you this afternoon. Our dear panels, Dr. Grace Nietes, our school dean, Dr. Glinda Logto, the Psychology Head Department, Ma'am Raisa Gabilagon, our research instructor, and our very own, our department head, Ma'am Yasmin Dalig. This afternoon, we will present our research titled Demographic Profile and Level of Compliance to COVID-19 Safety Protocols. And also, the researchers, my group mates first, our leader, Ms. Ruwaida Iskak, Marian Lambo, Ms. Julie Bisonia, Ms. Myrtle Tubil, Mr. Ron Albinario, and Ms. Angelica Agustin. And also, your 2 years, Melanie Wagas. Our content for today's presentation, first is the statement of the problem, second, result, and then the conclusion. For the statement of the problem for our research, or the SOP, the study aims to assert the rate of compliance and non-compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols and to assess the level of compliance of the residents of General Santos City to COVID-19 safety protocols. Specifically, the study aims to answer the following question. First of that is, what is the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender, and educational level? The statistical tool we use in frequency distribution percentage is to measure the number of the respondents per category and its percentage. Second, what is the level of compliance of the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols? The statistical use is the mean to measure the average data of the study. And third, is there a significant relationship between the demographic profile and level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols? The statistical tool we use is the Sperman law to know the non-parametric data, because we use ordinal data in our study from strongly disagree to strongly agree to know the relationship between the variables. Lastly, is there a significant difference of the level of compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols among the respondents in the terms of age, gender, and educational level? And lastly, the statistical tool we use in this is the independent t-test to measure the difference between the variables.
So, good afternoon, ma'am. Once again, I will be reporting or discussing to you some parts of the results section of our study. So, this chapter presents, analyzes, and interprets the data gathered from the study. Descriptive and inferential statistics were utilized to gather data on the compliance and non-compliance level to COVID-19 safety protocols among the residents of General Santos City. The significant relationship between the demographic profile and the level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols among the respondents in terms of age, gender, and educational level. All of these data were taken through the survey instrument developed by the researchers. Furthermore, the statements of the problem will serve as a guide for the researcher in the sequence of the presentation of data. So for the demographic profile, we have the age, gender, and educational attainment. So these variables are considered as influencing factors on the compliance among the residents in COVID-19 safety protocols imposed by the government. So in age, or as the in age, we have classified this type of variable to young adulthood, middle adulthood, and older adulthood. For gender, male and female, and educational attainment, secondary and tertiary. So the table or the results of the survey indicated that most of the respondents were young adults, garnered 97.3% of the percentage distribution and went for tertiary education. In terms of gender, the frequency of both sexes was similar at 50% distribution. For this study, the researchers wished to assess if the demographics could substantially affect the level of compliance among the respondents, as their behavior may vary significantly. On the other hand, to determine the mean level of compliance among respondents on the COVID-19 safety protocols, the average response for each item was computed, and the overall results are shown in Table 2. Meanwhile, the interpretation matrix used by the researcher in the level of compliance is as follows. Next slide, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ron Matthew Albinario. I'm going to present delegation skills for each item in the questionnaire. On the other hand, to determine the mean level of compliance among respondents on the COVID-19 safety protocols, the average response for each item was computed and the overall results are shown in Table 2. Meanwhile, the interpretation matrix used by the researcher in the level of compliance is as follows. For the mean level, 1.0 to 1.79, the description is strongly disagree and the interpretation is the participants never showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 1.80 to 2.59, the description is disagree and the interpretation is the participants have seldom showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 2.60 to 3.39, the description is neutral and the interpretation is the participants sometimes showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 3.40 to 4.19, the description is agree and the interpretation is the participants have usually showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 4.20 to 5.00, the description is strongly agree and the interpretation is the participants always showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For the delegation skills for overall mean score, the mean level 1.0 to 1.79 description is very poor and the interpretation is the participants never showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 1.80 to 2.59, the description is poor and the interpretation is the participants have seldom showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 2.60 to 3.39, the description is good and the interpretation is the participants sometimes showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 3.40 to 4.19, the description is very good and the interpretation is the participants have usually showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. For mean level 4.20 to 5.00, the description is excellent and the interpretation is the participants always showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. And for set A, safety protocols social distancing, our overall mean is 4.45, positive negative 0.2364, and the mean ranges, we can get the mean range by adding and subtracting 4.45 to 0.2364. The description is E or excellent.
Next is for the use of personal protective equipment. Most of the respondents answer as strongly agree or agree, which means that they usually or always showed compliance on COVID-19 safety protocols. The overall mean score is 4.52, positive negative 0.1862, which has the equivalent of excellent. And this indicates that the respondents religiously use PPE to avoid COVID-19 transmission from person to person and protect oneself from COVID-19. Next. Next is the use of the hand hygiene. Most of the respondents answer as strongly agree and agree, which means that they all, usually or always follow the compliance of the safety protocols of COVID-19. And also its mean score is next. Its mean score is 4.35 positive negative 0.4396, which has the equivalent of excellent, which means that the most of the respondents practices effective hand hygiene or hand washing with soap and water to prevent the COVID-19 transmission. Next. For the cough etiquette, most of the respondents also answer strongly agree or agree, which means that they usually or always follow or comply to the safety protocols of COVID-19. Its mean score is the mean score for the cough etiquette is 4.63 positive negative 0.0329, which is also excellent, which means that they also follow the cough etiquette in order to minimize the risk of transmission or transmitting COVID-19. For the safety protocol, next po, minimum health standard, most of the answers are also either strongly agree or neutral, which means that the respondents sometimes or always follow or comply to the COVID-19 safety protocols, and its mean score is 3.89 positive negative 0.6885, which has the equivalent of very good. And stat- for the statistical analysis, it is to determine if there is an existing significant relationship or significant difference in the mean level of the compliance when analyzed according to demographic. Statistical analysis was conducted and results are shown in the table 3 and 4. The calculations was performed at 0.05 level of significance. Our decision rule here is that if the p-value is greater than 0.05, we need to accept the null hypothesis. And if it is lesser than 0.05, the p-value is we need to reject the null hypothesis. For the table 3, significant relationship between the demographic profile and the level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols, after running the Spearman Rho, most of the result in age, gender, educational attainment are not significant and the p-value are all greater than 0.05, which means that we need to accept the null hypothesis, which states that there is no significant relationship between the demographic profile and the level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols. For the table 4, significant difference between the demographic profile and the level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols. And after running the independent t-test, in the age, gender, educational attainment, it also has the p-value of more than or greater than 0.05, which means that we need to accept the null hypothesis, which states that there is no significant difference between the demographic profile and the level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols. Next.
Ay, wait lang. Sorry. So for our discussion, the purpose of our study is to determine the rate of compliance and non-compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols among the residents of General Santos City. So the study was constructed and validated to gather data about the compliances. Also, the researchers made limitations to the study, including the time frame and also the convenience in conducting survey through an online platform and the probability to conduct a survey to the older respondents. The researchers gather data through the use of the online platform, the Google Forms. Also, the respondents of our study were the residents of General Santos City. They were selected using the purposed sampling and quota sampling. So we use purposed sampling because we have the criteria in choosing our respondents and also quota sampling of 150 respondents. We also utilize a quantitative type of research study where we quantified our data, and also we use descriptive correlation method design where we describe our population or the respondents and we correlate if there is a significant relationship between the two variables. And the questionnaire was given to the selected respondents based on their age, gender, and educational attainment. And also the statistical tools that were used in the SOP1 was the frequency distribution percentage. In the SOP2, we use the mean. For the SOP3, we use the Spearman ranking correlation. And for the SOP4, we use the independent t-test. Next. So for our findings in the SOP1, for the age, it shows that most of the respondents belong to the young adulthood. And for the gender, the frequency of both sexes was similar at 50% distribution. And for the educational attainment, it shows that most of the respondents were attending tertiary education. And for our SOP2, we use the mean. So for the social distancing, the overall mean is 4.45. For the proper PPE, the overall mean of compliance is 4.52. And for the proper hand hygiene, the overall mean of compliance is 4.35. And also for the cuff etiquette, the overall mean level of compliance is 4.63. So all of it has a description equivalent of excellent, while in the minimum health standard, the overall mean level of compliance is 3.89 with a descriptive interpretation of very good. So this clearly indicates or state that most of the respondents were agreed or were abide to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Next. So in SOP3, we use the Spearman ranking correlation. So here the p-value will use to decide if the null hypothesis will be rejected or will be accepted. So if the p-value is greater than the significance level of 0.05, then the null hypothesis will be accepted. And if the p-value was less than the significance level of 0.05, then the null hypothesis will be rejected. So here in our findings, the p-value for age, gender, and educational level are greater than the significance level of 0.05. Hence, there is no significant relationship between the demographic profile and the level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols. Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted in SOP3. So in SOP4, we use the independent t-test. So it is the same in the SOP3 that the p-value of for age, gender, and education level are greater than the significance level of 0.05. Hence, there is no significant difference on the level of compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols among the respondents in terms of age, gender, and educational level. Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted in SOP4. Next.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Martha Rostubil, and I am going to present to you the educational level or attainment, the age, and the gender. So for educational level or attainment, in a study conducted by Paul N. and Musel B. in 2021, they developed a model that includes several variables such as education level, political conservatism, religious orthodoxy, conspiracy, aviation, intellectual curiosity, trust in science, perception of COVID-19 risk, and compliance with COVID-19 prevention guidelines. So in this statement, in the results, preliminary analysis, trust in science have significant correlation with all of the other variables. So as for this result, education level was excluded in the model as it did not significantly affect trust in science or any of the COVID-19 related variables. Moreover, even on a correlational level, education showed only weak associations with trust in science, perceived risk, and compliance with COVID-19 prevention guidelines. In this study, the educational level is weak because even though they are knowledgeable about the COVID-19, they doubt and became more suspicious and suspicious of the incompetence, unreliability, and self-interest for personal or financial gain, and also because of some fake news informations. Some fake informations in the internet. Informations become more confusing. That's why they became more careful and tries to assess it more. For the age, people younger in age have been more likely to flout or openly disregard coronavirus restrictions than older age groups. For example, young adults breaking local and national rules are argued to be the principal drivers of the second or even the third waves of the coronavirus. Naturally, given that death from COVID-19 are more prevalent among the older populations in society, and young adults may simply consider the virus not an issue that is pertinent to them. And lastly, for our one of our demographic profile is the gender, because there is a gender differences in beliefs and behaviors that remain sizable when we control for individuals' socio-demographic characteristics and psychological factors such as risk aversion, trust towards scientists, and perceived likelihood to be infected, as well as political ideology. The differences are only partially mitigated for individuals cohabiting or with direct exposure to COVID-19. The observed differences between the way men and women have adjusted to the new risks associated with COVID-19 are echoed in behavioral differences between male and female leaders. So countries led by women have generally responded more effectively to the pandemic than countries led by men. So that's
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Angelica T. Agustin, and I'm going to report the summary findings. So researchers concluded the study by dealing with summary findings on the demographic profile and level of compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols that determines the rate of compliance and non-compliance among residents of General Santos City. The following conclusions are: the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender, and educational level shows that most respondents were young adult ages, ranging from 16 years of age to 31 years of age. For the gender, both sexes were equally distributed, and educational level mostly went on tertiary education. Second one is the level of compliance of the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols evidently confirmed on the results that the majority of the respondents agreed and complied to COVID-19 safety protocols with an overall mean of very good, where participants have usually showed compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols in social distancing, wearing of personal protective equipment, hand hygiene, cup etiquette, and complying to minimum health standard. This clearly signifies that residents of General Santos City adheres the safety protocols. Next, the significant relationship between the demographic profile and level of compliance among the respondents to COVID-19 safety protocols shows no significant relationship as respondents completely acknowledge the safety protocols of COVID-19. And the last one, the significant difference on the level of compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols among the respondents in terms of age, gender, and educational level also shows no significant difference as respondents of General Santos City completely abides the safety protocols issued by the local and national government. And for the recommendations, the following recommendations are suggested based on the analysis and of the findings and conclusion. Number one, the excellency on the level of compliance of the respondents towards COVID-19 safety protocols should be maintained and upheld always. Number two, future researchers are encouraged to further develop and extend the research by assessing the varying behaviors in complying to the safety protocols. The addition of influencing factors on compliance of other socio-economic status that was not concluded on our study, as well as to widen the research locale of the study. To incorporate stigma on the levels of compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols, future researchers should find out the demographic nature of patients with COVID-19. And for the fourth one, future researchers, the, the future researchers, the future researchers should focus on the severely affected population of COVID-19 and efficiency of the measures implemented by each family member, and the future researchers should also look into the status of the population who got vaccinated and their response to government safety and health protocols. So that's all po. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. Will you please share your screen so that we can proceed now with the Q&A? So congratulations for having this research output. But despite of our present situation, you were able really to harden it and successfully defended this particular research output. May I ask Ms. Julie?
Good afternoon, Dean.
Okay, will you please discuss to us how you collected the different information you needed for this study?
Okay, Dean. So since you are still battling with the pandemic and the continuous increasing cases of COVID-19 here in General Santos City, we the researchers had agreed to hand on or give our or proceed to our data gathering with the online platform, which is the Google Form. So with the guide of our sampling techniques, the purposive and the quota sampling. So we have handed our questionnaire to different ages and different gender, as well as with different educational level, that to satisfy the need for the information for our data gathering. That's it, po, Din.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Julie. Ron Matthew, will you please describe to us your procedure? What are some of the steps that you followed, especially with the finalization of your questionnaire? I know this is a researcher-made questionnaire, right, Matthew?
Yes, Dean. Oh, for our questionnaire, Dean, the researchers have formulated the questions, and we We gathered, no, not gathered.
What particular type of validation it went through?
The validation and questionnaire po din.
Can you name some of your validators for your questionnaire? Who are your validators?
Validate.
Miss Agustin, can you still recall?
One is
Miss Agustin?
Dalawa lang po kasi yung validators po namin, ma'am. And the first one is my sister, Miss Jocel Agustin po. And then the second one is the Sir Stephen po. Yun lang po, dalawa lang po yung validators po namin. Kasi po,
what is the result of the content validity? What is the mean? Were you able to compute the result when you retrieve the questionnaire together with your validity form, content validity form? Any member of the group?
yes po din. Yung nag-ano na po kami ng statistician po.
No, before, you don't need a statistician first, no, during your finalization of your questionnaire.
I'm sorry po din. Opo, yung na-validate the validators will validate our questionnaire and
But they will be rating that 1 to 5, okay, in terms of acceptability. So I'm asking, what is the mean score for the content validation?
9 po din.
What's the perfect score?
I think medyo nalito siguro. Miss Agustin, when you have your validation, how many items meron? And then, what is the perfect score? Kasi usually, di ba, 1 to 5, i-rate
Usually,
nila yung question.
5 yan siya, tapos 5 yung perfect score, 25 ang perfect score.
So, there are 5 categories. So, 5 times 5, that's 25. Out of the 25, ano ang rate na binigay ng validator ninyo?
Mean, what is the mean?
9
average. Paano nag-9 na?
9 over, what is the perfect score?
I mean po din the 9 po is the perfect score po yung po ng pag-rate po nila.
Ha? 9?
Sige lang. Tingnan natin.
Teka muna, how did you qualify these people to do the validation? Because you're supposed to get experts, di ba? Experts meaning to say they are very well-versed sila when it comes to conducting or knowing what questions to ask. Kasi experts nga sa field. Ano ang qualification ng inyong validator? Like you said, your sister. Ano ang level of expertise ng sister mo, Miss Agustin?
Teacher po siya sa biology po, and she had master's degree po.
Okay.
Then the second one po is the major in biology din po and PhD po.
Okay, that's good. Pero bakit dalawa lang? Kasi kung halimbawa, how will you break the tie kung pareho sila ng di ba? Kasi dapat sa validation kasi at least man lang odd number, no? So that let us say they would say na i-reject ang isang question, tapos dalawa silang sumagot, tapos ang isa reject, ang isa accept. what will you do now? So somebody has to break the tie kasi pagka ganun. But anyways, is nagawa nyo na.
But at least makita lang sana natin, no, in
Oo.
terms of its acceptability, whether the questionnaire was being accepted or not, no, by the two validators.
Particularly each question. Tapos nag-pilot study ba kayo? Did you try the validated questionnaire? Kasi dapat sinusubukan nyo muna na i-try yun ba? No? Parang trial run. Magtanong kayo ng 5 tao kung yung sagot nila ay tugma nga sa gusto nyong malaman. No? Iba kasi yung sa expert lang. May dalawang, actually there are so many levels of validation. In fact, napaka-easy ng validation na lang na nire-request sa inyo.
Oo, actually sa kanila content validation.
Yes, it's just,
wala
yan
na
ang
mga reliability testing kasi para mabilis yung ano.
more of face validity lang. So pag sinabi ng expert, okay to, okay yan, sige tanggap. Ito, hindi tanggap. But at the end of the day, dapat merong tiebreaker. Paano kung isa sabihin niya tanggap to, tapos yung isa hindi? Who will decide now? Parang may ratio siya ba na dapat majority tanggap? Ganon. So anyway, since nagawa nyo na yan, para ako, I would question the validity of your survey form. Kasi parang hindi siya, yung proseso, hindi I would find it questionable. No? Una, okay na yung qualification ng experts ninyo kasi okay, PhD naman pala. Pero the number, hindi kayo pasok doon. Pangalawa, nag-trial run ba kayo? Yung tinatawag na pilot study, sinubukan niyo ba yung questionnaire ninyo muna? Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na reliability, kung stable nga or consistent. Nag-trial run ba kayo? Did you or did you not? Pilot study. Hindi. Agi. Okay. So how will we resolve this? Hindi ba kayo nag-seek ng advice kung ano ang dapat? Because andito naman ang panel ninyo and your advisor. Kasi dapat bago talaga kayo lumusong sa tubig para lumangoy, alam niyo muna kung gaano kalalim yung tubig, no? Ganun sa research, susubukan muna natin. So there is no way of saying na valid yung inyong questionnaire. In my point of view, yes, Ms. Tubil.
Ma'am, nag-pilot testing po pala kami, ma'am. So, 3 po sa researcher sa grupo namin ang nag-answer po ng questionnaire po, ma'am.
Ay, mali. Bakit 3 sa researchers ninyo? Dapat, ang profile ng mag-pilot test is the same profile ng inyong participants. Ano bang participants ninyo? Who are your participants?
Ma'am?
Yes, sinong participants ninyo? Respondents ninyo?
Our respondents po is the residents of General Santos City, ma'am. And we have criteria po in choosing our respondents.
Oo. So what, di ba may bias yun kung kayo mismo? Again, questionable na naman tayo.
Pilot testing must be done with
Yes.
Target population ninyo. Pero hindi
kayo.
Yung pilot test ninyo.
Even the profile dapat swak doon sa yung actual ninyo na participants. No?
Pero may survey po kami ng 150 respondents.
Ay, walang kaso yung respondents nyo. Kasi respondents nyo na yon. Ang tinatanong natin dito is the validation of your tool. Did it go through the correct process? Apparently, no. So, meron tayong ethical or violation dun sa ating standards of conducting your research in terms of validation validation of a particular tool.
Baka during the validation, baka meron naman kayong wala nyo lang na-include dyan, even with your appendices, no? So, kindly include, di ba may scoring kayo ng dalawang
We have validation criteria po, ma'am. We have validation criteria po, ma'am.
Oo. So, yung result nun, you need to include that in your appendices, no? Para makita din natin na it really passed through the validation process. At the same time, the mean score, whether it is accepted or not, yun na lang ilalagay ninyo to support really that your tool has gone through content validation and it was being accepted, no, by the validators in terms of its adequacy, content, and relevance, no, doon sa ano ninyo, itong tool.
Dean, can I just
Yes,
suggest
ma'am.
na lang as a remedy, I want you to have another expert look at your tool, and then kahit ano lang, parang post na, no? Nakandak na nila pero gusto ko pa rin masiguro lang para correct na lang.
Meron nata sila, ma'am. Hindi lang nila na-include.
Pero yung kanilang pilot testing, sila po kasi din. So,
yung sa pilot
pwedeng,
testing.
yes, oo. So, i-correct na lang natin yon. Look for other respondents. Huwag kayo kasi bias yan. I would require siguro 10 people who would answer na same ang demographic profile but not your actual respondents. Okay? Para lang ma-check natin na tama yung tool niyo. And makorek ninyo. Kasi pag ginawa niyo yun, tapos, hindi natin siya i-correct, tapos yun lang ang procedure niyo, I will not accept it. For me, it's unacceptable. Kasi validity-wise, hindi valid ang tool niyo. Kulang. No?
Pero
And
sa first step nila, ma'am, they'll just include yung sa 2 validators, no, na rating.
Ipadagdagan ko po
yung
padagdagan ko ng isa para to break the tie. And then iyon. And then i-trial run nila sa 10 tao.
I think sa school marami namang pwede mag-validate.
Correct. Ang dami may masters doon. So, hindi ko alam ba't nag-outsource kayo. Sa nursing na lang, lahat ng teachers
may ma'am, nag-give up na kasi
masters.
ang mga nursing.
Nag-give up na.
Nag-give up na sila kasi sa daming workload.
Ang dami sa pharma. Halos
Sa pharma. Ganun din kasi ilang weeks na. Actually, I understand yung mga students kahit nga sa akin, mga ilang weeks na sila follow up yung mga pharma students tsaka ano. Para
like
sa mga,
na lang si Ma'am Girly.
at the time kasi ng mga sa validation time, talagang pinaka-busy ng mga instructors.
Kasi yun yung yun yung pinakauna talaga. Pag nagkamali kayo doon, what if lang ha? Hindi pala tinanggap yun, face validity nyo, mali na ang tool nyo, mali na yung nag-gather nyo na data. So ako, I would like to correct that. Kahit huli na, correct natin. Para kung meron mang at least ma-support. Kasi kung ilalagay niyan sa library natin, sa archives natin, tapos mali. Tapos pipirmahan ko, a-approve ko, nandun ang pirma ko, ano ako? Nag-a-approve ng mali na trabaho? Nagets niyo yun? Integrity of your work, wala. So ako lang, I will not approve that. Kasi mali. So let's correct it. Okay? Yun lang naman ang akin. I-correct na lang. Dagdag ng expert, trial run, and then put the values para makorek siya. Sige. Ma'am Reyes, go.
Stress ko, ma'am.
Actually, nakaka-stress yung ginawa ninyo. Kasi kung sa yan, wala tayong pag-uusapan. I will not accept your data. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman valid yung tool nyo. You cannot present, you can actually defend that it is tawag nito, valid. Kasi hindi kayo dumaan sa tamang proseso. Kumbaga, sumakay kayo sa sasakyan, wala kayong pamasahe, tapos prepaid dapat. O ba't kayo pasasakayin? Parang ganun lang naman. Hindi ba kayo nag-consult? Kasi meron kayong consultant outside. Hindi ba kayo nasabihan? Dapat kung PhD na yun, dapat alam niya na. Diba? PhD ka mo yun, di ba? Miss Agustin?
Masters ata, ma'am.
Hindi, yung isa, bio na PhD.
Bali, ano lang nila, sa content validity. But then, where is
anyway,
your Iskak? Saan yung inyong validation na you mentioned about criteria? Can you show us? Kasi baka di lang nilagay compute, no? Dumiretso lang sila doon. Doon muna sa content validation. Kaso lang dalawa lang yung
Pero
ano,
the fact na sasabihin nila sa
napatagpo.
atin na ang mean is 9, malayo
Bani,
yun.
hindi
That's off
yun
tangent
nakaka-
yun. Ibig sabihin, they didn't understand it.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, sige na lang po din. Let's move along. And then let's see their manuscript.
Oo.
And
And
then
also
correct it
siguro,
along
ma'am,
the way.
may I suggest, Ma'am Reza, kindly send this group na lang at mga sample natin na content validation form dira. For content validity, yung accuracy, acceptability, ana good ma'am. May ara ka copy dira, ma'am.
Hanapin ko, wala akong copy dito, soft copy. Pero
Soft copy.
siguro.
Pwede man i-ano na lang, ma'am, screenshot, i-picturean mo na lang tapos send sa kanila. Oo, para yung dalawang natapos nila na validators, they will be sending it back sa kanila para ma-compute nila so that they can include that one in the appendices, no? So, may ara ka, ma'am?
Hanapin ko din.
Kasi siguro, kasi yung sa mga pharma, meron yun doon.
Yes,
sa mga
din.
descriptive nila na ano.
Meron.
Ma'am Reza will be sending you a sample ng content validation form that after you have given the questionnaire to your validators, they need to fill in also the content validation, yung form natin na yun, no? Para masabi natin na nasa acceptable level yung inyong questionnaire before it was being pilot tested. But even your pilot testing is not also correct, no?
I think even
but during the proposal, very clear naman yun. Hindi ba ninyo nag-take note? No? During the proposal, it was really clear yung directive, ang suggestion po ng panel na kailangan pag nagpa-pilot test, no, you need to identify yung same na target population for your researcher-made questionnaire. Sige, proceed na lang tayo sa ibang part. Medyo na ano lang tayo doon kasi yung question natin.
Nakita ko na po din.
Okay, so just wait na lang, no, for the template to be given by our research directress, no, so that you will be assisted. Yun yung gagamitin nyo, and Mrs. Ka, kindly send it to your 2 validators and kindly add another one, no, para mahabol ninyo so that you can in your final revision of your paper, you'll be mentioning that it underwent validation of 3 experts. No, ganon. Okay. Tapos include nyo yung mean score ng rating ng ating mga validators. Okay? So,
pero they have to edit pa this din ha. You can conceptualize na kanila ito kasi this is general ang isa-send ko sa kanila. Sa chat na lang siguro.
Sige. Sa ano na lang, ma'am, later na lang.
Later na.
Okay, para meron silang ano. May ano sila ba? May pagkukunan sila ng sample. Okay? So, let's move on with tama na siguro yung main questions. Can we proceed with the suggestions? It is the 4th group, right? And we have another one pa.
Yes.
So that we can end sana early. Okay, so showing
sige, let's start din. Let's start with the with the title page. First, hindi kayo sumunod sa format natin. Yung ating title dito is parang malaki ata ang font.
Oo, hindi siya font 12.
Then ang spacing also for the Medical Technology Department, program na lang, Medical Technology Program. Even the margin, kayo lang yung group na hindi sumunod sa margin natin. Ayan.
Ma'am Ray, saang part ka na?
Title page pa, ma'am.
Title page.
Nasa results na ako. Okay.
Okay.
Kaya
for the approval sheet, ma'am, same lang din, no? Para maintindihan nila, I'll show na lang.
Yeah, the spelling of my name and my title.
Like this one, no? Kindly remove MA and
Psych.
College Dean. It should be RN PhD. Okay, and also for Ma'am Mary Glenda Lugto. It is not PsyD,
PhD lang ako.
PhD.
Madugo na yung Doctor of Psychology.
Okay. Akin din dito, PhD. Lagyan nyo, RN PhD.
Let's have the abstract. Masyadong mahabang abstract
Yes.
natin.
Sobrang haba.
300 square, 300 ano lang yan siya. Words.
Students, just just include yung mga gusto nyo i-highlight lang sa results and all. It should be 1 page lang na abstract.
The most important results only. Wag na yung, parang may na-repeat din ata na paragraph. The same content. Yeah, 2 paragraphs. So please summarize your abstract. At most, mga 300 words. So that makes it 1 page only. And then do not forget the keywords also.
1 paragraph lang yun, ha?
Yes.
Tad-tad niya.
Ayan. And for the acknowledgement.
For the acknowledgement, siguro ma'am, from using may mga upper we, ano ba? So dapat, we were very thankful. So please edit that one.
Panelist niyo si Mr. Brian Juanitas?
I think he is a co-advisor, if I'm not mistaken.
Nakalagay siya panelist. Paki-correct na lang nito, guys.
Yes po, ma'am.
Tanggalin nyo na lang yung mga we and the are, ha? Okay, for the table of contents, remember our format is IMRAD. We don't have chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 anymore. So please correct that. Introduction, methodology, results, and lastly, we have discussion. So you insert sa mga sections na yan yung mga different contents like the hypothesis, significance of the study. And then wag na i-chapter. And the appendices, since pwede nyo ng ibang page ito, list of appendices. Para klaro tayo. Anything else, ma'am and Dean, before tayo mag-introduction?
Nasa intro ka na, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Bothered lang ako sa pagka-English. Ang daming grammatical errors. So, again, grammarian tayo.
Yes.
Tapos gumagamit kayo ng mga consequently, parang hindi naman siya appropriate, no? Mga hence. Tingnan natin kung tugma ba yung bakit tayo maki-hence. Mag-hence na, tapos nag-therefore pa. Kasi bang naghana. Ang suma total ay kabuuan din.
Okay, how about this is null hypothesis, students. Hypothesis, marami. Dalawa. Tapos parang balik na data sa SOP na una si relationship before the difference. Pagdating sa hypothesis,
dapat mag-difference ka muna bago ka mag-relationship.
Yeah. Kindly check that. Okay. Significance of the study po. Any comment? Or
sino ba ang, I'm just wondering in terms of priority, sino ang unang makikinabang sa research ninyo? Sila dapat ang nauna sa lista. Arrange na lang according to priority, guys.
Okay. For the theoretical framework, section motivation.
Okay. Again, puro grammar.
Next, for the conceptual framework.
Ito yung figure 2 na sinasabi ko. You just don't say independent variable and dependent variables. You put what it is. So, figure 2 is the correlation between demographic profile and the level of compliance. Yung title na mismo ilagay nyo. Kasi alam naman natin na yan ay independent variables. Okay?
Okay, for the scope and delimitation students, I believe everyone has failed to edit the tenses. Please remember you are already done with your research. So dapat naka-past tense na tayo lahat.
May correction din ako. The study aims to assert the rate of compliance. I-assert niyo ang rate of compliance. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Baka assess or determine. Pakipalitan, ha?
This one has really to... Kailangan talaga ito ng grammarian, ma'am.
Correct. Will be pa sila. So, ano to? That's researchers will organize the questionnaire as education for dispersion? Ha? Ano to? Hindi ko gets. Okay, I don't know who you should consult, pero there's something wrong with your
I think kasi it is necessary also for them to change the tenses from future tense. Kasi nung proposal, di ba, we suggested that when you revise, you need to change it na into past tense, para ready na siya for final defense. So during your revisions, can you take note the different statements you included in your scope and delimitations so that it will be more understandable to our readers. Okay? Shall we move on with the review of related lead?
Yun yung napansin ko, mahilig kayo mag-umpisa ng according. Huwag niyo gamitin si according. World Health Organization stated, reported, diretso. Or yung main event mismo, sulat nyo na. Huwag na mag-according. Bilangin ko kaya ang according dito. Kada kanto may according eh. No? Tapos nagkama kayo, tapos ang second ninyo na word is starts with a capital letter. Maraming guys. Maraming. Madugong to ha, hindi lang grammarian siguro ang kailangan ninyo dito. Somebody who really knows how to write a research. Tapos, I really want you to have it run sa Turnitin or sa plagiarize check. Kasi baka pag tinakbo natin to, baka magpula-pula ito. Kasi pagka sa plagiarize check, pupula yan siya. Ibig sabihin, kinopya yan word for word. And okay man lang as long as it is properly cited. And Ma'am Reza, ilang percent ang allowed natin? 20%?
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. So kung kayo nag 40, 30% problematic ang paper ninyo, ibig sabihin matinding plagiarism, no? So have it run. So Turnitin or plagiarize check.
I think I'm not sure if this is the study na nakita ko na 49%. Let me check it, ma'am. Pero
49%?
Anahin ko lang. Check ko lang ulit.
Ano gamit mo, ma'am? Turnitin? or plagiarized siya?
I don't
Oh,
know. Hindi kasi ako nag-run, ma'am, sa ano yun, sa ethics.
Okay.
Result ng ethics.
Kasi ang wording niya parang walang pinagbago. Tapos mahilig din kayo mag-can't, don't, isn't.
I think Grammarly lang siguro yung gamit nun, ma'am.
Sa Grammarly, ma'am, iba yun. Hindi siya masyadong na-check ng plagiarism.
Yeah, pero nag 49% na yung sa Grammarly.
Ay, wala. Makasuhan tayo nito. Intellectual property rights.
So when you read literatures, no, do not copy what is being written, but you need to paraphrase it, no? So i-paraphrase nyo kung ano yung sinabi doon sa literature para hindi kayo ma-charge for plagiarism. Okay, kindly take note of that, especially during your final revision, because once it is being already submitted to the research office, kailangan ano na tayo doon, free from plagiarism. No? Medyo refine na po yung entire paper niyo. Okay? So, let's proceed. Ma'am Risa.
Yes po.
Excellent.
Sa respondents ninyo, maganda kung pag sinabi yung criteria of choosing will be based on the age, huwag nyo na sabihin yan. The criteria for inclusion are individuals whose age range from 16 to 65. Diretso na, huwag nang i-introduce kasi introduction naman din ito ng inyong ng inyong respondents. Diretso na, no? Ay, hindi na paikot-ikot. Ito lang ba ang criteria ninyo? Dapat 16 to 65 and then equal number of male and female, tapos should be who belongs to secondary and tertiary level in terms of education. Ito hatingnan nyo. For the education level, the levels are secondary and tertiary level. Tulod yun ka word nga levels. Tulod ka words nga level. Same. Paulit-ulit. No? So, ayusin. What else? Purposive sampling.
Purposive quota sampling. Siguro na lang purposive dash quota sampling, ganyan na lang. Kasi they have handpick. May set of criteria sila, tapos may quota kasi sila 50-50.
Sa akin kasi din, ang purposive is kind of specific. For example, HIV, 16 years old or adolescent. Pero kung ganito lang siya, parang medyo general siya, pwedeng mag-focus na sila as quota sampling. Tanggalin na yung purposive. Kasi wala namang special na criteria for their respondents.
Meron sila dito yung lang nila, yung target respondents sila from 16 years old. So may age bracket lang sila.
Opo, pero kasi wala siyang wala siyang special na characteristic or profile.
Wala pa.
So I would rather na quota sampling lang siya.
Quota sampling na lang.
Quota sampling.
Kasi isa lang man yung i-mention nila dito. Okay. Quota na lang. I agree with you, ma'am.
Kasi I would reserve siguro the word purposive if there is really something special like HIV ba sila, abuse ba sila, yung mga ganon. Yung very sila, mahirap silang hanapin kaya ka nagpo-purposive. Pero kung ganito lang, quota sampling will do. So yun na lang. What else? Tapos wag nyo na sigurong ilagay itong frequency distribution of the respondents nitong box 1. I would suggest, siguro din pwede na ito sa appendix, no?
Yes,
box 1 nila. Oo, tanggalin na ito dito, ha? Kasi na-explain nyo naman na ang demos ninyo ay ito, babae, lalaki, secondary, tertiary, then yung ages. I-reserve nyo na yung box doon sa, kasi this is a monitoring sheet, Ito na yan sa appendix. yung instrument niya siguro maganda if you will describe it in terms of number of questions, ilang ang tawag dyan, paano niyo siya hinati, ano ang main niya, no? Like KAP, di ba ito? Tama ba ako? Level of compliance. So, pwede niyo siyang i-explain how will it be administered, how will it be scored. Tapos, dito talaga lalabas yung validation ninyo, no?
They just mentioned dito, the question will undergo content validity assessment, evaluation by 3 valid. Very clear naman
Tingnan
dito
ko
na
nga
3.
itong
Actually, very clear naman yung kanilang dito na 3 validators. However, dalawa lang, no, upon oral presentation, they mentioned that it's only 2 validators, but in the paper it is, no, there are 3 validators, so it should be consistent, ha?
Actually, Dean, kita ko yung kanilang Appendix D validation. This is just the cover page. Wala siyang specific for each question. Again, di po ba, bawat question, i-rate mo whether accept, reject, or revise. Cover letter lang ito para sa akin. Tapos wala siyang, para sa akin kulang siya. Correct natin to guys, ha? Para maging maganda naman yung papel ninyo. Nakalagay lang kasi rate and comment. Meron kasi yan siyang talaga yung 1, 2, 3, 4, tapos what does it mean? 10 ang highest ninyo.
Ara na dali ko pula
Okay.
Oo.
Tapos lagyan nyo siguro ng remarks sa baba whether acceptable or not.
Oo. May legend. Oo, meron naman pala sila dito, ma'am. Sa
yes din, sa page,
ano na lang nila, ma'am, palagyan na lang
51.
natin ng legend kung
pero I would,
in terms of acceptability pa.
I would like to see na bawat question tiningnan nga ng validator ninyo kasi there is no way to check Kung ito lang, summary na ito. Pero specific question which is acceptable, rejectable, and revisable, wala tayong comment. Unless meron silang ginawa. Yes, ma'am?
Sinend ako sa messenger na sinend din nila.
Sige lang, siguro sa mga na lang, future researchers na lang din natin, no, para sa for the validation of researcher-made questionnaire. Para clear na lang din sa kanila kasi na-use na sila na using the simplified form of gagawin sa kanila, yung summary no, ng paper. Pero for now, siguro tapos na kasi yun. Pwede na siguro yun na lang i-accept natin. No? Kasi, oo. Yung mga item per item, siguro sa next batch na lang.
Idadagdag lang nila din sa manuscript naman lang. So, pwede nila idagdag. We don't have to discuss it here, but they should do it. Actually, meron naman pala 9, 10, 8, 10, 8. You just have to mention ano ang final rating pero kulang pa rin dalawa lang sila.
And then they'll provide legend na lang, no, for ano ba yung acceptable o hindi.
Opo. Tapos yun, gusto ko makita yung pilot testing talaga. So you have to include that.
So
sige, balik.
Mag-pilot testing pa ni sila, ma'am girl. Nabaligtad ang order.
Okay lang, ma'am, para lang ma-document kasi kesa wala talaga, hindi natin kinorek.
Okay, ma'am.
Kasi pwede naman hagpaton, ma'am, ang daily included na question. Pero sige lang. Para lang makorek.
So they have
masama.
Wala nang reliability testing, ma'am?
Wala na, ma'am. Makuha lang nila, makasabi lang sila na tama yung sagot.
Pilot testing. Kasi sila ang nagsagot-sagot.
Oo, mali kasi yun. Bias yun. Unethical yun. Sa ethics committee, bagsak na kayo dun. Sige, saan na tayo? Doon na tayo sa results. Results na tayo, ma'am.
Yes.
Frequency distribution of respondents. Bakit walang total?
Oo.
Lagyan siguro ito ng total bawat ninyo, no, groupings. Tapos ayusin naman ang like itong age, tama yung ginawa. Pero pagdating sa gender, nag-iba na yung boxes nyo. And lagyan din ng percentage na symbol or percent na symbol. Tapos ano nyo siguro, medyo makapal bawat grupo ng variance. Tapos hindi siguro maganda sabihin na segmentation. Tama ba yung term na segmentation? Pwede natin gawin nito. Category siguro.
Categories na lang siguro.
Oo, kasi
Mas ano pa
segmentation,
yung categories?
weird.
Categories na lang siguro. Categories.
Ito the frequency of both sexes was similar. Hindi siguro similar, equal siguro ang tama na term, no?
Kasi ang doon sa quota sampling natin, dapat pareho sila. So parang sa tingin ko hindi na kailangan kasi hindi na siya maging variable. Oo, kasi ano pa ang significance nito?
Sa relationship, that is correct.
Equal na siya. Age na lang siguro at saka educational attainment. What are your thoughts on this, mga madam?
Oo nga, no? Bakit pa sila naglagay? Equal na nga. Sige lang din. Ilagay na lang para malaman na rin. Anyway, pagdating doon sa t-test bang ginamit nila? Or ano yung ano ba yung for difference ang ginamit nyo? Spearman? Makikita naman kung may difference nga o wala. Sige, okay na lang din ito din. Pero the way you phrase your hindi ko talaga feel that major revision para sa akin ang rephrasing. Times 50. Times 50 per what else? Guys, itong ano ba? Yung inyong delegation skills.
Ma'am, pwede kaya, ma'am, sa ano na lang ito, ma'am? It will be, dapat doon ito sa chapter 3.
Research instrument?
Oo. Doon may ara naman sila dito. Tapos, or tapos sa appendices na lang.
Bakit sila nagganito, guys? Hindi ganito. Ay, ginoo ko.
Doon na lang lalabas yan sa dali lang.
For each item,
bagay kasi yung ano nila.
Palagay ko this is part ito ng method or sa appendix nyo siya ilagay kasi legend ito.
Yes.
Even yung overall mean, tanggalin nyo ito dito, lipat nyo. Pili kayo, sa method nyo siya ilagay or ilagay nyo sa appendix. So, tanggalin to ha. Tapos, pati titles maybe for overall being score. Ibig sabihin nun, parang hindi ata. Lagay nyo lang, interpretation of or verbal description or whatever. Basta hindi yan siya for overall mean score. Saan nyo ba ito gi-pattern? For sure, meron kayong pinupopyahan eh. I would suggest you try our hindi na pala kayo nakapasok sa library. No? Pero try to look some journals na nasa ProQuest kasi hindi ganito magsulat. Doon makakakuha kayo ng idea on how to present your tabulation and your description, no? Pwede naman kasing kopyahin nyo yung phrase tapos palitan nyo yung mga values, no? And yung variables. Pwedeng ganon. Para lang yung pagkakasulat, yung flow, maganda-ganda naman, no? Mura magud ni siya o gibisaya kunya gitinagalog tapos translate na po o whatever.
I think, ma'am, nakita, they copy-pasted this sa binigay sa kanila ng statistician nila. Kasi nag-ask ako kay Miss Bisonia ng result ng statistics na binigay ng statistician. Ito kasi yung laman. And then even the whole thing, yung parang nasa ilalim na mga results talaga ng statistics, parang kinapi nila and they pasted everything here. Itong statistical output.
Oo. Dapat kasi what is being presented lang doon sa ating chapter 3 are the answers doon sa ating SOP. So, yun lang ang other results. So, kindly transfer na lang ninyo siya sa appendices.
Adin, actually, okay naman itong ginawa. Hindi lang natadtad ng maayos. It's more of the groupings. Like kung set A lang. Ihiwalay ni tapos merong description. And then set B lang din. Tapos wag na nilang lagyan ng plus minus. Padugo kasi, anong ibig sabihin ng plus minus? I don't understand this. Palagay ko, standard deviation, ito ipinasok ninyo. This is page 27, 4.45 plus minus 0.2364.
That's the standard deviation.
Oo, tapos na-explain niyo ba yan? Alam niyo ba kung ano ibig sabihin yan? And is it even relevant to put there? So para sa akin, dapat hindi na. Pero guys, tagtarin, din, okay lang ito dito din, basta nakatadtad lang siya ng maayos. Tama yung grouping.
Actually, ang ginamin ko, ma'am, yung sinabi kanina, yung support sinabi ni Ma'am Reza, yung ibang items sa entire chapter 3 na mga statistical computation na maiba na hindi na kailangan.
So,
Okay. Mean level of compliance.
Tapos itong statistical analysis, parang it's out of place. Bakit nandito pa ito siya? Na results naman ito.
This one is raw, di ba, ma'am?
Oo.
They don't need to place it sa results.
Oo. Ay, bakit? Okay. Sa age, not significant. So, walang significant difference. Relationship. So, difference, lahat na, pare-pareho lang sila ng sagot. Okay. Tapos ng Pearson R sila. 0.042. Pagdating sa Spearman, 0.38 na siya. In terms of age. In-explain ba sa inyo din sa physician ang ibig sabihin nito? Ay, guys, hanggang di copy-paste with ninyo. You don't put this. Yung symmetric measures, hindi yan yun ang nalagay dyan. Ay, hindi ganito magsulat. Ay, naunsa na mali.
Di copy-paste, yun nila tanan.
Pwede na siguro yung table 3 and 4 just to answer, diba, significant relationship yung SOP 3. And then SOP 4.
Din, meron sila dito yung age nila actually significant ang difference. It's 0.03. Sa page 32, ang sig value nila is 0.03. That is significant difference. Even sa gender, magkaiba, 0.02. Bakit sinasabi nilang walang difference?
Lagay ba nila na? There is
Sa educational attainment lang ang walang significant difference. Gusto niyo i-screenshot ko para? Gusto siya i-screenshot. Pwede ko ma-share yung nasa screen ko?
Yes, ma'am.
Sige, mag-share ako Saan yung manuscript niyo? Guys, mukhang hindi nyo naintindihan yung papel nyo. Ito. Pakita ko Ito yung independent samples ninyo. Test ito. Nakita nyo ito, sig value, 0.03. That is significant. Meaning to say, there is a significant difference. Meaning to say, magkaiba ang level ng compliance ng depende sa age. Okay? Even sa gender, magkaiba ang level of compliance ng lalaki sa babae. Kasi 0.02. Ang basis natin is 0.05. Remember? Yun yung inyong critical value. Dito lang kayo sa education, nag-iba kasi 0.3. That is higher than 0.05. Ay, parang ha?
I think ang ginamit, ma'am, sa table is the sig2 two-tailed.
Two-tailed. Pero nag-sig siya siguro sa one-tailed ito. Alam ba nilang ibig sabihin ng one-tailed and two-tailed? Tapos tayo dyan kung hindi pa yan nila naintindihan.
Kasi ang nilagay sa table, the 0.316, that is why there is no significant difference.
Tingnan ko.
And the 0.129 and the 0.532.
Kita na may nag-analyze ani. Oy, saan naman eh? Even sa relationship nga, ma'am, ang significance niya is 0.04. Ibig sabihin, may relasyon yan sa age. Yung sa manipag.
Buti pa ang mga numbers may relasyon, ang iba walang relasyon. Okay, patawanin naman natin yung mga...
Teka.
Spearman kasi, ma'am, hindi ang Pearson ang ginamit. Kaya no significant relationship. Itong statistical output, saan nila ito ilagay? Sa appendices.
Pinamin ko kanina, Ma'am Reza, because yung table 3 that will answer the yung table 3 nila at saka table 4 lang for SOP 3 at 4. Yung iba, doon na lang yan sa appendices.
Yes, Dean. And then they failed to explain the table 3 also.
So doon kayo dapat mag-extract, no? Just present what is being written in the table for the results. And then your analysis will be in chapter 4. Okay? So yun na lang siguro in general, ma'am. They need to have it reviewed, no? Yung result ng statistics. And then they will have also the analysis yan later doon sa chapter 4.
Yeah. So,
okay, so yes, okay, take note, ha?
Ano na lang kasi it doesn't mean na yan ang binigay ng statistician, i-copy-paste niyan siya lahat.
Ina-analyze yan, ini-explain niya sa
if you cannot understand something there, you go back with your statistician and ask him na anong say meaning ani.
And ito age kasi is actually a parametric measure. So, dapat na Pearson talaga ito. So, dapat yung kinuha nyo is 0.042. Ito yung Spearman correlation. Kasi, ang Spearman ginagamit lang kung nominal. That is for gender. Tama yun. Or education. Pero, parametric kasi ang age. So, sa school nyo...
I think, ma'am, sa hindi sila nagparametric kasi
nag-categorize
sila young adulthood, middle, and older adulthood.
Okay. So, pero bakit ordinal? Dapat nominal. Pero sige na lang. Yun. Pero dito, sa Levance ninyo, significant, baya siya. Kung ako lang, ito na lang sana ang kinuha ninyo. Isa lang hindi significant. Tapos i-compare ninyo ang mean. Kasi ang laki ng difference, ng mean. Anyway, sige. Ayan naman. Pero...
Can you take note na lang, no, the suggestions of the panel? Okay, can we move to chapter 4 na po?
Discussion. Nag-independent t-test sila. Yung discussion ninyo, please take out yung standard deviation. Mean lang ilagay. Kasi level man ang tinitingnan ninyo. Unless you want to explain kung anong ibig sabihin ng standard deviation para hindi magkulo.
Actually, yan ma'am, pwede na yan siya sa results, sa explanation ng mga table nila. I want to see sa discussion the analysis talaga ng
Parang wala.
Result.
O sinabi niyo lang, no significant relationship, therefore, this null accepted is accepted. But why? Why? Wala.
Yeah.
So, kulang to, guys. Wala. Maraming kulang. Kung sa ngipin ito, palagay ko 2 ngipin lang meron. The rest, wala. Lagyan ng pustiso para kumpleto ang ngipin. Wala siyang analysis. In fact, wala kayong related literature masyado na ipinasok sa bawat except for how many? Cross, physical distancing, view of reach.
Oo. Kindly
lang,
add more sa analysis. Ako nakulangan din ako.
Kulang
To make it
masyado.
more substantial, no? Kasi it is a degree paper, so kindly take extra effort siguro, baka nakulangan lang sila ng time. So I think after the defense you will have enough time, no, to do the revision of your paper. Mrs. Iskak, no, take charge of your members, no, so that you can work on this as a group.
Sinong leader dito? Si Miss Iskak?
Miss Iskak po. Okay. Some more suggestions?
Okay na po ako, dear. Wala na akong dagdag.
Okay. So can we move to our I think unless no may mga questions pa ang proponents before we leave for the breakout room, Ma'am Reza, for the deliberation. So I hope you have understood, no, the different suggestions, the recommendations of the panel. So if you understood everything, please mag-thumbs up kayo. Pag wala na kayong clarification. Ganyan talaga, no? Minsan, tedious talaga, no? Gumawa ng isang research paper. But after all, no, this is part of degree requirement. At least masabi nyo na Jensen doctors, no, hindi naman madali. No? Nag-graduate kayo sa Jensen doc. May pinagdaanan din kayo. Okay? And you'll be learning a lot along the way. Na hindi tayo dito, sa Jensen doc palusot-palusot na. Na pwedeng bigyan lang ng kakanin, okay na. Okay. No, so at least may masabi din kayo. We've learned a lot, no? Okay. So, Ma'am Reza, alis muna tayo. Punta tayo sa breakout room.
Yes po, open na po.